behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He's been married for 6 years. Videotaping his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day, he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church, getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're a KBLA Talk 1580.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with the IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Very proud today to have my very good friend John Diggles. Diggles started with MWW in 1997 as SVP and Chicago GM. He rejoined the agency in 2012 as Chicago's general manager. Prior to his second stint with MWW, Diggles served as the SVP at Edelman. Hey, John, let me ask you a question. The Democratic Party should be thriving in this anti-Trump MAGA confusion, and yet they are not in terms of their messaging. John, I don't know a public relations expert who is better than you, who's given more thoughtful analysis on how to position not only individual candidates, but also entire political parties. John, what are the Democrats doing wrong?
Well, thank you for the thoughtful question, Jesse. I find it interesting that people keep talking about that it's messaging, right? It's sort of like going on a dating app and saying, "Oh, nobody liked my photos," right? It's just, I mean, if it's not connecting, it's messaging is one. It's an excuse. It's about connection. It is about listening a lot more. You know, the Republican Party is pushed right now. They're built on push messaging. The president got his famous thing is rallies, right? He's not listening to anybody. It is a push message coming from the Republican Party, and it's been successful for them. The Democratic Party has opportunities much more to listen more and hyper and localize that messaging. How do we do this, and how does it connect locally? They're failing at that. It's just the same old talking points. And that doesn't matter when you're choosing between food and rent, when you can't get your prescriptions now because there's failure in Congress to give you the subsidies you need to keep your health care. All of those national talking points tend to fall flat when that all politics is local. It is a key rule in politics. It's been forgotten. That's the path back for the Democratic Party.
You know, you and I were in a conversation earlier today, and they referred to, in this particular meeting that we had, the two wings of the Democratic Party, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party and the Rahm Emanuel messaging wing of the Democratic Party. And one obviously in the direction of centrism, the other in the direction of progressive values. And in the moment that we were having that conversation, I was saying to myself, these conversations and even the direction that they're advocating are far above the local issues of what people are experiencing, and maybe the aggregate approach of the Democratic Party's messaging is problematic. To your point, listening does matter because these issues have something to do with the block that people are on, not completely what the Federal Reserve Board is going to do tomorrow. John?
Exactly right. Look, James Carville, Bill Clinton, right there in the 90s, it's the economy, stupid, right? Now, I think it has evolved to say it is the local economy. We're talking, 30 years since that line came out. Our economy has changed dynamically, and it's not the same. The economy in Arkansas is dynamically different from the economy in New York. In Chicago, the economy on the north side is dynamically different from the economy on the south side. As a party, you have to see that. And I think you've made tremendous discovery on that how you do this locally really matters. It's missed opportunities. And that sense of listening, meeting people eye to eye. So much of our politics now is battling on social media when we need to be taking media into our social interactions a lot more, eye to eye, listening and making sure we understand this is what's happening to you. 5 miles and 10 miles from here, it could be a totally different challenge. What's happening to you matters, and I have a solution for your problems.
John, I have detected an anxiety in the workforce that's tied to the AI space. I gather that from your thinking that AI is inevitable, that artificial intelligence is here, it's coming, it's not going anywhere. The problem, at least from my perspective, is it is moving at a pace far faster than any of us are prepared for, and the dislocation of jobs, including but not limited to, while I can't confirm it's AI related, the dismissal of workers at the Washington Post, which is probably a sign of things to come for mainstream media. John, your thoughts on the AI economy and some of the challenges that it represents?
I think there are two sides to the coin. Thank you, Jesse. Another very thoughtful question. We do have some history to look back on whenever there's been a technological revolution like we're seeing with AI. You and I have actually seen this in our careers because we came of age during the internet age. We saw that transition. We saw the internet come in. We saw that transition to emails in our careers. And so much of this was the internet was going to eliminate jobs. And it did, and it has. But new jobs also were born during the internet age. And I think we still do not understand the AI economy and the jobs that will be lost and the jobs that will be born. And I think what's happening now with the job market, which is really significant and very stressful, is because of the economic uncertainty that AI is a factor, but so are tariffs, and so are a lot of the economic policies that are hitting us right now. That companies, when they don't know what to do, they hold. I'm going to hold my cards close to my chest. I'm not going to invest much. I'm not going to hire much. I think that's what we're seeing. And I think as soon as policy starts to align with where the economy is going and the AI economy is going, yes, jobs will be affected, but new jobs can be born of that, and new skill sets can be born of that. And how do we see around that corner and get workers ready for the AI age? Those will be the places that new jobs are born.
I am equally as concerned because I hear about this new job growth, but it's occurring at the same time that the president of the United States is dismantling the Department of Education, seemingly suggesting with his challenges to higher education that somehow a college degree is no longer necessary, that a high school degree is sufficient to work in the AI economy. How do you feel about that, John?
It's very short-sighted. And it is going to factor into significant, I mean, there's such disparities right now in education. All this is going to do is widen those gaps. And I think leadership, and again, missed opportunities by the Democratic Party to give an alternative plan. Here's what we will do, and here's how we will do it. And I definitely think reshaping the Department of Education, looking hyper local at how government can partner with universities and colleges and schools and start providing that job training for the high skilled trades. What does the AI economy look like? We don't have to be subjected to the technology. We can help shape the future of the technology. Look, Jesse, as you know, I built a company with AI an integral part of our infrastructure. And what I learned from doing that is that I needed new skill sets. I needed new things that we all had to learn. And when we did that, our work went up, and we're doing some of the most exciting work I've done in my career, making incredible discoveries. We've all learned new things to do in the last couple of years working with this technology. I am convinced that leadership and vision can create jobs and even fill jobs that are going to be really eliminated by AI. Let's envision how we put workers back to work in this economy.
John, we've tried together to be innovative in the caregiving space, the ways in which AI could be applied that could change for more than 63 million Americans the burden that they are experiencing. Can you share some of that with us now?
I think it's one is that if you're a caregiver and you're listening to this program, Jesse, as we've talked about this so much, God bless you. Our prayers are with you. It is such a difficult job. And I think the more we envision new tools, we're seeing this in AI, that AI can detect when a patient is in distress, that maybe we're not in the room to see something that a patient might need or a loved one might need. I think AI can help caregivers in a big way. And I think the more we get new tools and technologies into homes and into the hands of people who need them, it'll alleviate some stress. It'll certainly help with the need to free up some time to be able to take care of yourself and get some rest, and maybe even get back to a job that you had or doing a new career path. But caregivers need a lot of help. You've taken a national leadership role on it. I think it's an exciting and necessary conversation. I give you a lot of credit for leading it.
John, I appreciate that very much. Don Lemon was arrested this past week and obviously released. And we've seen Jeff Bezos now dismantle large sections and segments of, if you will, the Washington Post. What is this? Is this a sign of things to come?
It's a sign of things to come. It's also a continuation of things we've seen, right? Kimmel was pulled off the air. Don Lemon arrested. Journalists being arrested for reporting news in this era. I mean, we've seen newspapers shrink. We've seen newsrooms shrink significantly. It's by 30% change and shrinkage in newsrooms since like 2020. So the news business is going through a lot. And I'll just say, if anyone, whether it's, you're listening to this radio show, you have a favorite newspaper, it's important to support the news, where you get your news, and those writers doing those jobs. It is a difficult transition right now for the business. But going back to this and the attacks on the First Amendment, the infection of trying to curry political favor has definitely become an issue. We're seeing this even on network news. How do we preserve not only our First Amendment, but a news media that gives us information and gives us an objective view on what's happening? That's going to be an important part of our future. It's the only way we can truly hold truth to power.
When we come forward, even though we have a brief moment on this side of the ledger, one of the things that I found in my present post, or if you will, simultaneous career in sticking my foot in the water in politics, is the distinction being made between the people's relationship with a politician or political activity and the people's genuine desire in this truth-telling space for authentic leadership. And John, I don't want you to use me as the example, but I make the distinction that people who are running for office need to have an emotional connection with the people that they seek to serve, as opposed to just following the talking points, because the truth is now a function of how the energy is functioning in a space. And people can feel authentically that space. And they also know when the space is inauthentic. Your thoughts, John?
Well, to me, that has become a power that has been wielded in some cases responsibly, but in many more cases irresponsibly. You know, Congress and Washington and the political dynamic that we have on social media is a huge part of the rage bait part that comes of it, right? Getting us to feel something. But it's been so long since we got to rally behind something. And I'll just give you the example on it. I think a good example of this was when the Affordable Care Act was passed, which you were part of. But I also think so much of the dialogue on social media at that time was, what can we accomplish? And yes, it was a hot debate. And yes, there was misinformation. But inevitably, we got to rally behind something we wanted to see change. I would really like to get back to that. We're always going to have a hot debate on these things. That's healthy. That's part of American democracy. But misinformation and disinformation takes our eye off the ball. We get to rally behind something we believe in. We get to drive change. We have the tools to do it. Let's not use them irresponsibly. We, the people, get to demand that change.
I'm thinking that I was listening to one of the participants in the conversation that we were having. He made the generational shift on this question, suggesting that there has to be some kind of hybrid between, if you will, a seasoned generation and the new generation, but that the new generation itself will ultimately have to be brought in to be a party to this idea of transformative change. They simply don't know the history. They've not been part of the history. They are willing to acknowledge that, but they also know that we're not going to be here forever. And so the hour is pregnant. It's pregnant with possibility for coalitions to be built between generations. Our very special guest in this hour is Mike Worldwide PR alum John Diggles, one of the best that's ever done it. He serves as CEO and founder of Ascent Strategies, providing services in digital transformation, corporate storytelling, employer brand strategy, marketing of clinical research, and ROI measurement. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Our very special guest is John Diggles. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump says his administration may take a softer touch on immigration enforcement following deadly federal agent shootings in Minneapolis.
It didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners.
In an NBC News interview, he says officials want a calmer approach, but still plan to be tough on what he calls really hard criminals. Atlanta, Georgia's Black Mayor Andre Dickens says he hopes ICE agents will have little to no presence during the World Cup. He told reporters the city will notify businesses and residents if federal agents are operating. And Baltimore, Maryland's Black Mayor Brandon Scott says the Park Heights Safe Street Zone has gone 387 days without a homicide. Officials credit more than 230 conflict mediations for helping prevent violence, with City Council President Zeke Cohen calling it proof that intervention programs are saving lives. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers made another major move to reshape their roster for the future. They traded center Ivica Zubac to the Indiana Pacers for 2 first-round draft picks and 1 second-round pick. Zubac had been the Clippers' starting center since 2018. Indiana also gave the Clippers guard Benedict Mathurin and forward Isaiah Jackson. It looks like Clippers management was tired of having the oldest roster in the NBA. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked second in the country, extended their winning streak to 16 games Wednesday night. They beat Rutgers by 40. Kiki Rice led the Bruins with 17 points and 3 steals. The Bruins are 22-1, 12-0 in the Big Ten Conference. They play at number 8 Michigan on Sunday. The Rams and 49ers will play the NFL's first regular season game in Australia in 2026. The game will be played in Melbourne. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. Let's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Mike Worldwide PR alum John Diggles is our very special guest on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. John, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you very much, Jesse. It's good to be with you.
Hey, John, I do have some questions that I'd like to ask about Black history, but just before I do, I've been thinking during the break about what I call the profit and efficiency economy. That is, women could historically argue that they were discriminated against on the basis of sex. Of course, African Americans and the indigenous and Hispanics could argue that they've been discriminated in the workplace or in whatever endeavor on the basis of race. But the future of some justice struggles versus the profit and efficiency economy is that we are being discriminated against from working and providing for our families by artificial intelligence. It's not that it's per se racist or per se sexist. It's an efficiency economy that is keeping me from providing for my family health care and something to eat. Can you see that?
I can, yes. And I think it's one of the failings when you have a technological shift like this. Again, we've seen this in our careers. We saw it with the internet age. We saw it with the age of social media when that happened. And that was a key part of coming out of the financial crisis. And now we're seeing it again with AI. And there's a lot of things we don't know about with AI. So these companies, what I think and what I see is the things on efficiency, to me, sometimes is an excuse because they're still learning AI tools. Yes, there's fundamental tools. There's tools that we know are in the workplace. But I see so much data on how workers and employees are being brought around the corner on AI. And it's further behind than most companies would want to admit. So making cuts in the name of efficiency when your workforce is not trained on those tools, I mean, that's happening not only with companies. We saw it happening with Doge and with government employees. And we hear almost every single day about some backtracking now, some backfilling that has to go on now because, well, the tools didn't work as well. We made cuts before we truly were ready. That sense of readiness, I think, is a significant question in this economy.
You know, one of the history of labor, particularly as it relates to African Americans, has been, and we witnessed this with the initial Trump cuts, that African Americans found space in government employment to work, provide for their families, and a large measure, government employment meant contracts, but it also meant a quality of life and a stable sense of employment in ways that the private sector itself could not guarantee for people who had been historically discriminated against by state governments, by private actors in our system. And Donald Trump and Doge's efforts, when they essentially ran through the federal government, really went at the heart of Black women, and it went at the heart of African American employees who work for the federal government, devastating agencies and employment in the states of Maryland, and even in some, in obviously in the District of Columbia, as well as in Virginia, as it relates to the federal government. But these federal enclaves in the various states have also experienced these massive layoffs. I'm wondering if a safe harbor for the Black middle class is possible in the federal government again, in light of the efficiencies that Doge and others have tried to implement under, if you will, the Trump regime.
It's a really key question. And right now, the answer is not in this government, not in this administration, right? Because if it's efficiencies and it's restructuring, that's one thing. But this was sloppy. The very first cuts they made were DEI. That's not an efficiency thing. That is a philosophical thing. We're going to cut people out of government. Black women were overly impacted by a lot of the cuts that happened in government. And it's not only what we saw happen in government, which went very quickly, was sloppy, was not a corporate restructuring. I've been part of corporate restructurings before. It is a process. That is not what happened with Doge. And so now you have people, too many layoffs, too many cuts, agencies trying to recoup. FEMA just put a hold on because of the winter storm, the cuts that they had planned. And so what we see here is not necessarily efficiency as much as it is shifting budgets or freeing some things up. And we see it not only impact at the employee level, it certainly starts to happen at the service level. It starts to happen at places like, what are we going to see funding with schools? How big are education and healthcare disparities going to be? What happens with services at Social Security? We've heard it impact social services with Veterans Affairs. So DOGE really started a year ago. We've seen the impact numerous times. Notice nobody talks about it anymore. It is not a badge of honor. It is not seen as an accomplishment. And I think really because the impact, not only did it not save money, it hurt the ability to service communities that really needed that service and that support.
You've been doing some reading on Black History Month, and you've also given some thought to the significance of Carter G. Woodson and what he was able to accomplish in helping shift the nation's focus to the contributions of African Americans. Your initial thoughts, John?
Well, it jumped to me. You know, it's my favorite thing about Black History Month is that we get to learn. We get to learn about people, accomplishments of Black Americans. And I didn't know enough about Dr. Woodson, so I spent some time this week learning about him. And the first thing that jumped to him is the courage that 100 years ago, it's the 100th anniversary, that Dr. Woodson could make the case for a Negro History Week. And I thought about trying to do that in 1926. Clearly took courage to be able to make that case. Now it's turned into a month of observance, but really his courage to drive that forward, to point out what was happening, what the contributions were, who was contributing, names you had to know. That's really, to me, the core of what Black History Month is all about. We need to know names. We need to know what they accomplished. We need to recognize their accomplishments, and we need to recognize that their accomplishments impact and enrich our lives in ways that maybe we didn't appreciate without this observance.
I'm thinking in this moment that our most significant accomplishment against the backdrop of the structure of the United States is democracy.
Absolutely.
That but for our struggle, the country would not be democratic. That the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, African American men, first among them, had the right to vote. And if you think about it, constitutionally, African American men had the right to vote before white male non-landowners. So you've got white men who own land having the right to vote in the Republic in the original Constitution. And the Constitution is silent on white men who don't own land.
That's right.
And
That's
then
right.
all of a sudden, here comes the 15th Amendment to the Constitution, guaranteeing Negro men the right to vote. And you're a white male in the South or anywhere in the United States, and you don't own land. And the Negro male has the right to vote constitutionally. I mean, the whole world was upside down with the 15th Amendment, John.
Absolutely. But we were also reminded of the founding values of our country. We were also reminded of what those freedoms mean and the struggle to expand them to other constituencies, the way our country has developed to have earned them, who are under the Constitution and our flag. And we're reminded often, and that's what I think is so many of the lessons from this month, is not only did important figures who we should celebrate this month and always fight for democracy, but they also helped our healthcare take leaps and bounds. They also brought incredible diversity and strength to our economy. They also helped us have a mighty military. They also helped us become a global superpower. We would not be the country we are or be where we are as an economic or military leader in the world without the contributions of so many people that we celebrate in Black History Month.
He is simply one of the best public relations specialists in the United States. John Diggles serves as CEO and founder of Ascent Strategies, providing services in digital transformation, corporate storytelling, employer brand strategy, marketing of clinical research, and return on investment measurement. John Diggles is my very good friend. His agency's IP uses a proprietary communications algorithm combining online community insights with medical professional perspectives, patient observations, and market data to promote adoption of telemedicine, remote patient monitoring, and healthcare artificial intelligence, among other offerings. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on February 5th, Black History Month, on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
LA Metro invites you and the whole family to a free community celebration on Saturday, February 7th at the Metro Willowbrook Rosa Park Station in Watts. Enjoy live music, local art, and delicious food vendors as we celebrate culture, community, and good vibes. Come out Saturday, February 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Metro Willowbrook Rosa Park Station. Don't miss it. LADWP urges everyone to always keep safety top of mind. If you see a downed wire, don't touch it. Stay far away and call 911 immediately. Downed wires can be deadly. Whether you're at home, work, or on the road, always assume the wire is live. Together, we can keep Los Angeles safe and powered. Learn more at ladwp.com/electric safety.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley. The tools to hold a meaningful conversation should not be reserved just for a privileged few. It is a skill our world desperately needs in every community, at every table. So I'm pleased to announce the Founding Members Scholarship Program for my online course, The Art of Conversation, in 4 different categories. The Community Builder, for those who serve others, the Rising Voice for emerging communicators, the Bridge Builder for underrepresented perspectives, and the Determined Scholar for those facing financial hardship. If finances are the only barrier between you and this training, well, let's hurdle that barrier. We're accepting applications right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com. The priority deadline is February the 10th. So visit TavisTalks.com right now and let's build this table together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
February 4th is Transit Equity Day. To mark the occasion, Metro is offering free rides all day on the 4th. Providing safe, accessible, and affordable transportation is a commitment Metro makes year-round. Learn more at thesource.metro.net.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on February 5th.
KBLA.
Our very special guest in this hour is none other than John Diggles, public relations expert in the digital healthcare space. John, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Always good to be with you and your audience, Jesse.
John, let me ask a question that might be difficult to answer, but I think it's worthy of asking. Is Black history not being marketed correctly to be embraced and accepted by the broader population? Is there a better way to tell our story and get it out?
Being what I do in marketing and public relations, I almost always look and say there was a better way. I'll be watching, I'm on panels to review all the Super Bowl ads that'll be on this Sunday. They pour millions of dollars into that. You can always learn from it and see. But I definitely think Black History Month and Black history oftentimes gets suffocated by politics, gets suffocated by some bit of apathy that happens in the news. So I often look and say, look, there are some sharper ways to tell these stories. There are sharper ways to make it relevant now, to make sure people are aware of that story. And Dr. Woodson, what we just talked about with the 100th anniversary, his courage to do this in 1926, before Rosa Parks, before Dr. King, and to really make sure that people at the time understood the contributions that are happening in America from Black Americans. That took courage. And I think more of that needs to be told, of why we celebrate, why it's important, and take the accomplishments that we celebrate during Black History Month and make them relevant, because in a lot of ways they changed our lives and people don't understand or know that yet.
I'm thinking that one of the ways in which our story is told, it needs to be told authentically to even be embraced by our own community and not watered down in a way that becomes digestible. It is a story, John, that is designed to be uncomfortable because its existence is uncomfortable. It is a transformative story that actually changes the lives of people who understand it and willing to embrace it. Is part of that resistance why the story hasn't been told accurately, truthfully, and forthfully?
I think so too. And I'll also just put on there that there's a more dynamic way to tell a lot of stories, and we should embrace the vulnerability of the stories as well. You are a student of history, and when we study and you read Dr. King's letter to Birmingham jail, or understand part of what he went through, a lot more in his personal life, his struggles with depression, all of those things, that makes it even more interesting, because he had to navigate personal things, personal crises, personal challenges, in addition to the political environment. The vulnerability always makes the story more interesting. You and I were in the seminary. One of the things that took me to the seminary, and the reason I went to the seminary, was a story in the Bible in the Garden of Gethsemane. When Christ was in the garden and he was praying that he would not have to go through his passion. That story always appealed to me as someone of faith because of his vulnerability, his humanity suddenly made him a lot more accessible. I think there's a great story there of how we tell the stories of Black History Month, that the vulnerability and the challenges they face that have never been told put their accomplishments even higher. We have to get past the fact that, oh, it brings them down in some way. It does not. It makes them more accessible. Their humanity makes them more accessible and makes their accomplishments bigger.
John, as you know, towards the end of our program, we always give our very special guests an opportunity to offer a word of hope. And I'm so grateful that that you are seminary trained and a seminary graduate, because you can appreciate at this hour in our country's history and on February 5th during Black History Month, just how important a word of hope is. John, can you offer us a word of hope?
I would offer the word of hope is that the power to know this is in our hands. We see so many things about accomplishments of Black Americans, the history being ripped down and torn down a bit. And that does not have to stop us from finding the information, from using the tools. We talk about AI and we talked about the internet. We have more tools than ever to find the stories that will resonate and inspire us, to find the history that's being torn down, because it can never be truly erased. That's my business, is understanding the digital reputation ecosystem, to understand how to get to and understand the history better, that we can find inspiration and we can find figures and their deeper vulnerabilities that pushes us to achieve more. Those tools are there for us. It's great hope that it can never truly be torn away from it. Let us not be. Let us control and put up the stories that we want to tell, that not only inspire us, but can inspire others.
We're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the magnificent words Martin Luther King Jr. referred to in the I Have a Dream speech 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand, today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The momentous decree came as a great beacon of light to hope to millions of Negro slaves who'd been seared in the flames of a withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. In a sense, he goes on, we've come to our nation to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, Black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to distrust all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. That those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We will never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of unspeakable horrors and police brutality. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Our very special guest in this hour has been none other than John Diggles, and those were the words of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech in 1963, August 28th at the March on Washington. John, thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you for having me, Jesse. Always good to be with you and your audience. It's been an inspirational conversation.
I appreciate you very much. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward on KBLA.